Hey, English learners, welcome back to English Voice Podcast, the place where learning English feels simple, natural, and relaxed. I'm Elena.
And I'm Jax. We're really happy you're here with us today. Maybe you're listening while having your morning coffee, walking outside, traveling to work, or just relaxing at home. Wherever you are, thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
If you enjoy learning English with us, don't forget to follow or subscribe to English Voice Podcast and share it with someone who is learning English too. All right, let's jump into today's episode.
Elena, can I ask you something before we start?
Sure.
Have you ever been describing where something is? Maybe a picture on a wall, a lamp in a room, or a bird in the sky, and paused for a second wondering, should I say above or over or on, and then just picked one and hoped it painted the right picture?
Oh, yes. I remember trying to describe my living room to someone and saying, there is a lamp on the table, but the lamp is actually hanging above the table from the ceiling. And my friend asked, so is it on the table or above it? And I realized I had mixed the two. On the table means touching. Above the table means floating in the air higher up. They sound so similar, but they place things in completely different positions.
And this is exactly the challenge with above, over, and on. All three are about position. All three involve something being in a higher or touching relationship with something else, but they each see space differently, and the picture each one paints is completely different.
So today, we are going to make all three clear and natural. We are talking about above, over, and on. Three small but powerful words that describe position in space. And by the end of this episode, you will not just know the grammar, you will feel the space each word creates.
Because when you feel the space a word creates, the right one arrives naturally. You do not have to think, you simply see it.
Today, we have three ideas that will completely change the way you use these three words. And Jax, I think our listeners are really going to love the third one.
The third one is the one that stays with you, so please stay with us all the way to the end. Let's begin with idea number one.
Idea number one. On is the word of contact. Above is the word of elevation without contact. These two live at completely different points in space. One is touching, one is floating free. And feeling that difference changes everything.
When you say on, you are saying something is resting directly on the surface of something else, touching it, in contact with it. The book is on the table. The cup is on the shelf. The painting is on the wall. Your phone is on the desk. In every one of these, the object is making contact with the surface. On is that contact. On is that touching.
And above is completely different. Above means higher than something, but with no contact. There is space between the two things. The lamp hangs above the table. There is air between the lamp and the table's surface. The clouds are above the city. Nothing is touching. The bird flies above the trees. It is higher, free, separate. Above creates distance upward.
Picture these two sentences. The map is on the wall. The clock is above the fireplace. In the first, the map is pressed against the wall, touching it, fastened to it. In the second, the clock sits higher up on the wall, yes, but the key feeling is its elevation, its position up above something else in the room. Above creates the sense of looking up.
And above has a broader life than just physical space. We use above in many situations where something is higher in level, quality, rank, or amount. Her performance was above average. The temperature was above 30 degrees. The noise was above what I could handle. Salaries above a certain level. In all of these, above describes something that exceeds a point, that is higher than a standard or measure.
So the personality of on is contact, closeness, touching, and the personality of above is elevation, distance upward, something higher than a surface or a standard. On is grounded. Above is lifted. On touches. Above floats.
I want to share something personal. This clicked for me completely when I thought about the night sky. The stars are above us. They are not on us. Nothing is touching. They are up there, distant, elevated, floating free in space, above. And then I thought about a blanket pulled over someone sleeping. The blanket is on them, touching, resting against, in contact, on. Two completely different experiences of position, two completely different words.
Such a beautiful image. Stars above, blanket on, one floating free, one in contact. And once you have that image in your mind, the choice between on and above becomes almost instinctive.
Okay, let's move to idea number 2. And this is where over enters. And over is perhaps the richest and most surprising of the three.
Idea number 2. Over is the word of movement and coverage. Where above is still and elevated, over is dynamic. It carries a sense of crossing, passing, reaching across, covering. Over is the word that implies movement through space or covering something completely.
Let's start with over for movement. The bird flew over the lake. The plane passed over the mountains. She jumped over the fence. He leaned over the table to reach the book. In all of these, something is moving from one side to another, crossing above something in its path. Over implies a journey through space, a path that goes up and over something.
And this is one of the most important differences between over and above. Above is static. The stars are above. They are just there, positioned higher. Over tends to be dynamic. Something is moving over something, crossing it, passing across it. If a plane is above the city, it is positioned up there in the sky. If a plane flies over the city, we feel it crossing, moving, its path taking it across the city below.
Now, over for coverage. When something covers another thing completely, over is your word. She pulled the blanket over her shoulders. He spread the map over the table. They draped a cloth over the furniture while painting. Snow lay over the whole town. In all of these, over describes something being spread across a surface, covering it, blanketing it. The covering quality of over.
And over is used for amounts that exceed a number or limit, similar to above in this sense, but with a subtle difference. Over 50 people came to the event. It costs over £100. Children over the age of 12. Over in these sentences carries a sense of going beyond, of crossing a threshold, of exceeding. It has energy and movement even when talking about numbers.
Compare above average and over the limit. Above average says something is positioned higher than the average point, like elevation. Over the limit says something has crossed beyond the limit, like movement past a boundary. Both involve exceeding something, but above looks upward while over crosses through.
Over also appears in many beautiful everyday expressions. Get over something, to recover, to move past a difficulty. It is all over, finished, ended, complete. Start over, to begin again from the beginning. Think it over, to consider carefully. Come over, to come to where someone is. Stay over, to spend the night. Over and over, repeatedly. The word over is one of the busiest and most versatile little words in English.
So the personality of over is movement, crossing, covering, and exceeding. Over has energy. Over employs something happening, something crossing, something covering, something going beyond. Over is the word in motion.
And now, as promised, idea number 3, the one we have been building toward. Are you ready?
Tell them, Jax.
Idea number 3. Stop trying to memorize above, over, and on as grammar rules. Start picturing the space each word creates, because on, above, and over each paint a completely different picture, and once you can see those pictures, the right word arrives before you even have to think.
Let me give you the 3 pictures. On. Imagine your hand resting flat on a table, touching the surface. In contact. That is on. Physical connection between 2 things.
Above, imagine looking up at the ceiling of a room. The ceiling is up there, elevated, separate, with air and space between you and it. That is above, higher, but not touching. A gap of space, of air, of elevation.
Over. Imagine a bridge crossing a river, something going from one side to the other, passing above the water, covering the space in between. That is over. Motion, crossing, coverage, something happening as it passes above.
Hand on a table, ceiling above the room, bridge over a river. On, above, over. 3 images. 3 completely different relationships with space. And once those 3 pictures live in your mind, the words begin to feel almost inevitable, like the only possible choice for each situation.
I want to tell you about a listener who wrote to us. His name is Felix, and he wrote from Germany. You may remember Felix from our must, have to, and need to episode. And he said he had been using over for almost every spatial description, even when above or on would have been cleaner and more natural.
He described his bedroom to a friend in English. The lamp is over the desk. The clock is over the door. His books are over the shelf. And his friend kept picturing things in motion, things crossing, things draped, because that is what over suggests, movement and coverage. When Felix meant simply that things were positioned higher, above was the natural word. When he meant they were resting on surfaces, on was the word.
And he tried something small. He went around his room describing every object using all 3 words and asking himself, is this touching? Is this just elevated? Is this covering or crossing? Is there a sense of movement here? Just those quiet questions, not grammar exercises, just noticing the space each word created.
He wrote to us a few weeks later and said, I described my flat to a new colleague in English, and she said, I can picture it perfectly. Your descriptions are so clear. And Felix said it was the first time his English had placed someone else inside a space with him. He said it felt like a small door had quietly opened.
That story gives me chills every single time.
So here is your permission. Picture the space. Hand on table. Ceiling above the room. Bridge over the river. And ask yourself in any moment of doubt, is this touching? Is this elevated? Is this moving or covering? Let those 3 questions guide you every time.
Okay, let's take a gentle pause now and do our word tour. A calm, quiet walk through some of the words and phrases from today.
Just a few, slowly, so they settle into you.
First word, contact. Contact means touching, being in physical connection with something. On is the word of contact. For example, the moment their hands made contact, everything changed. Contact. Contact.
Next word, elevation. Elevation means height above something, the quality of being lifted up. Above is the word of elevation. For example, from that elevation they could see the entire city spread out below them. Elevation. Elevation.
Next word, coverage. Coverage means something that spreads across and covers a surface or area completely. Over often describes coverage. For example, the news received widespread coverage across every major channel. Coverage. Coverage.
Next phrase, exceed. To exceed means to go beyond a limit or level, to be greater than. Both above and over can describe exceeding a standard. For example, she exceeded every expectation anyone had set for her. Exceed, exceed.
Next word, threshold. A threshold is a point or level that once crossed changes things. Over often carries the sense of crossing a threshold. For example, once they crossed that threshold, there was no going back to the way things had been. Threshold, threshold.
And our last word today, static. Static means not moving, fixed in one place. Above tends to be static, something positioned up there, not crossing or covering. For example, the image was completely static, frozen at the moment everything changed. Static, static.
6 words today: contact, elevation, coverage, exceed, threshold, and static. Try to use one of them this week, even in your head, even in a sentence you write before you sleep, because a word you use is a word you keep.
And a word you only hear passes through you like wind. But a word you feel, a word you connect to a real moment in your life, that word becomes yours forever.
Okay, now it is your turn, and this is our favorite part of every episode.
Yes, because now the conversation belongs to you.
Here is your challenge. Look around the room you are in right now, or picture a room you know well. Find 3 things: one that is resting on a surface and touching it, one that is elevated up above something with space between them, and one that is covering or crossing something else.
Write one sentence about each. Use on for the thing making contact. Use above for the thing elevated with space below it. And use over for the thing covering or crossing. Let the space you see guide the word you choose.
For example, my notebook is on my desk, right next to my pen. There is a small plant hanging above my window that catches the morning light beautifully, and I have a warm blanket draped over the back of my chair for when the evenings get cold.
Or, my phone is on the table beside me right now. The light from the ceiling shines above the whole room and fills it with warmth. And there is a thin layer of frost over the garden this morning, everything white and quiet.
That last image, frost over the garden, everything white and quiet, I can see it perfectly. And notice how over there describes the frost covering the whole garden, spreading across it. That coverage quality of over painted the whole scene.
So please write your 3 sentences in the comments. Look around you right now. Find the on, the above, and the over in your real world and describe them in English. Your space, your words, your practice.
And know this, when you write your comment, you are not just practicing grammar. You are placing yourself inside a moment and describing it clearly enough for someone else to see it. And that is one of the most beautiful things language can do.
And your sentences might be exactly what another learner needs today. Someone who has been using over for everything and never had the 3 pictures to unlock the difference. And then they read your sentences and something shifts. Oh, I can see the space now.
One honest sentence gives permission to 100 quiet hearts.
Before we close today, thank you for listening all the way to this moment. That is not a small thing.
And to anyone who has ever placed something in the wrong space in English, that moment is behind you now. On for what touches, above for what floats higher, over for what crosses or covers. See the space, find the word, and let your English place the world exactly where it belongs.
Hand on table, ceiling above the room, bridge over the river. 3 pictures, 3 words, all yours now.
Language that places the world clearly is language that connects.
If this episode helped you even a little, please give it a like, subscribe to English Voice Podcast, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Your support helps this little podcast reach more learners, and every new listener is one more person who feels a little less alone in this journey.
Until next time, take care of your English and take care of yourselves. This was English Voice Podcast. I'm Elena.
And I'm Jax. We will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.